Welcome back to another episode of Weed Wednesdays. This week we are going to be taking a look at green and yellow foxtail. So green foxtail, this is one of the first grassy weeds to emerge in the spring. It has been the #1 most abundant weed in Manitoba since the 1970s. It has a hairy ligule, but hairless leaf blades and no auricles. So this is how we tell the difference between green and yellow. It is a heavy seed producer, but not all that competitive. Really, the only noticeable yield loss you'll see is when there's dense stands emerging at the same time as your small grain cereal crops. It has been shown to reduce yields up to 25% in wheat if populations are dense. Something like banding your nitrogen fertilizer deeper helps reduce that competitiveness. The green foxtail has a shallower root system, and they'll be able to access less nitrogen. Chemical control is relatively straightforward. There's various group 1 and 2 herbicides that offer acceptable control. However, green foxtail has developed resistance to both of those groups in Western Canada, so we need to be paying attention. Many products offer good control. Like I said, crop scouting or follow-up checks after herbicide has been applied is very, very important. We can't just apply a group 1 or 2 and then disappear. We need to come back and make sure that the group that we applied actually did what we wanted it to. Shallow spring cultivation will cause flushes of foxtail, which could then be controlled with subsequent shallow tillage or pre-seed herbicides. Something like a mold borer plow would bury seed far too deep to germinate. Since the majority of that seed doesn't remain viable for more than a year or two, this can also be effective. Planting something like winter wheat or fall rye does a pretty good job at suppressing these as well, just due to that head start on growth. So yellow foxtail is very similar to green foxtail. It can be difficult to distinguish earlier on. This one has been consistently climbing in prevalence in the provincial weed surveys. Green foxtail is #1, yellow foxtail has climbed to #6. So back in the 70s, where green foxtail was still #1, yellow foxtail was sitting at #48. So yellow foxtail does have a hairy ligule, and the surface of the leaf blade has small hairs. That's a key distinguishing factor. So Rim sulfuron and Nico sulfuron products do not provide acceptable control. Yellow foxtail, like green, has developed resistance to both of those groups of herbicides, the 1s and 2s. This one can be a little bit more difficult to control overall. It's a bit more tolerant of most of those post-emerge herbicides than green foxtail is. Just for an example, let's take phenoxyprop. So that's a product such as Puma. The label calls for double the application rate to control yellow foxtail when you're comparing it to green. Another example would be thiacarbazone, a group 2 active. That would be in Varo and Velocity and others. It's rated for control of green foxtail, but only suppression of yellow foxtail. Roundup Ready crops offer one of the better opportunities for control with high-rate glyphosate. Corn and soybeans were in there early with glyphosate. It's very good timing. ID is very important in terms of herbicide selection here. Okay, so we weren't able to find any green foxtail at this specific site, but I did track down some barnyard grass, which is really similar, and it will help us explain the differences between green and yellow foxtail. So yellow foxtail, if we zoom in here, we will see the hairs on the leaf blade, which is the key distinguishing factor between green and yellow foxtail. If we zoom in on the barnyard grass here, we will see that there's no hairs on the leaf surface, there's no auricle, and there's no ligules. If we were looking at green foxtail here, we would still see a hairy ligule, but no hairs on the leaf surface. So that's just a quick breakdown on how to distinguish these species, and earlier in the video we talked about why it's important that we distinguish the difference, because it makes a big difference in control. If you have any questions about foxtail or any other weeds, feel free to leave a comment below or shoot us a message. We're always happy to help. Do us a favor if you would, like and share this video. It goes a long way in helping us to support our channel and spread the word about what we do. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.